Welcome back, everybody. It's Mrs. Sherron in my book nook, and you can see that I just recently had a birthday. So here are all my wonderful decorations, my signs made by a lot of my family and friends. And so I just celebrated a birthday. So I decided to put all my decorations in my home classroom, my book nook, if you will, to show you guys. And it was so wonderful to see so many of you on the Zoom meeting on my actual birthday, and you were able to sign happy birthday to me, which was awesome. That was a lot of fun. And I'm thankful for Miss Hauser and Mrs. Wheat, who came to my birthday parade. It was so much fun. And I'm thankful to my husband and my son and my two daughters who helped organize my birthday parade. It was just a lot of fun to see everybody, social distancing, of course, being safe, and making sure that there were 6 feet apart. But it was really great to see everybody and celebrate. So that really meant a lot to me. So we are going to continue reading Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. And what do we know so far? Well, we know that each of the contestants, Kyle and his classmates, are approaching the games in different ways. We learned a lot about each of the characters, and I put them on my whiteboard about their character traits and who they are as people. And we will continue to learn about that as we continue to read, how each of them decide how they're going to escape from the library. And that we know that there's a big grand prize. So that's a lot of fun. So let's continue reading Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. I really hope that you're enjoying this. I hope that you check the community connection page for Hope Hall and you see my episodes there. I really enjoy doing this for you because we can stay connected this way. And you get to practice your reading skills, which is really important because reading is something that will take you away. It's an escape, just like how we're escaping into Mr. Lemoncello's library. So I hope you're enjoying it because I know I am truly enjoying reading to you. So let us get to chapter 18. Here we go. The contestants raced down the stairs to the rotunda reading room. Kyle saw Haley Daly dash down another set of steps into the basement to what the floor plan called the stacks. Miguel and Andrew, the two library experts, grabbed separate tables and started working the touch-screen computers. Bridget did the same thing. Charles Chillington strode out the arched doorway and into the foyer with the fountain. Yasmin Smith-Snyder was running around the circular room with her floor plan in front of her face, like someone frantically checking their text messages while racing down a crowded sidewalk. Sierra Russell found a comfy chair and sat down to finish her book. The girl definitely wasn't into the whole spirit of the game. So, Kyle, said Akimi, you want to form an alliance? What do you mean? It's what people do on reality shows like Survivor. We help each other until, everyone else is eliminated and we have to stab each other in the back. I don't remember hearing anything about eliminations. Oh, right. But hey, there was nothing in the rules that said we couldn't share the top prize. I just want to win. Cool. So we're a team? Sure. Great, said Akimi. I nominate you to be our captain. All in favor, raise their hands. Kyle and Akimi both raised their hands. It's unanimous, said Akimi. Okay, let's go ask that antique librarian a question. What? We both get to ask one question, right? Right. Okay, here's mine. Hey, lady, how do we get out of here? And you think she'll tell you? No, not really. So what's your plan? Well, I was thinking. Suddenly, Yasmin shouted, I win! The rest of them stopped whatever they were doing. It's just like last night when Kyle found dessert in the most obvious place. To get out of the library, all we have to do is use one of the fire exits. Duh. She headed toward a hallway between the Book Nook Cafe and the community meeting room A. Kyle stood up. Yasmin, I think maybe you missed some of what Charles Chillington dashed into the room and shouted, "You're not going to win, Yasmin, not unless you beat me to that fire exit." He bolted toward the corridor. Yasmin bolted toward it too. "You guys," said Kyle. Kyle could see a red exit light glowing at the far end of the hallway. Charles and Yasmin were sprinting down. Charles stumbled and fell. Yasmin kept running. Harder, faster, she slammed into the exit bar on the metal door. Alarms sounded. Flashing red lights swirled. Somewhere, a tiger roared. Mr. Lemoncello's voice rang out of the overhead speakers. "Sorry, Yasmin, that's where your sidewalk ends. You broke the rules. You are out of the game. Your library card will be placed in the discard bowl and you will be going home." As the fire exit door slowly swung shut and Yasmin disappeared into the bright sunshine outside the library, Kyle checked out Charles Chillington, who would have been sent home if he hadn't stumbled and had reached the exit first. So, unfortunately, Yasmin made a bad choice and used the fire exit to try and escape the library. Didn't work, wasn't something that she could do, so she broke the rules. So she's now officially out of the game. And we learned that Akimi and Kyle decided to form an alliance. And an alliance means they decided to work together to form a team. So that would be kind of cool. How would you approach this game? I think I would do a lot of what Akimi and Kyle are doing. They're working together. And they are trying to figure things out and using their ideas together. So let's see what Charles Chillington was up to, though. Kyle says, "The guy was smirking." So if Charles Chillington was smirking, what do we know? What inference can we make? If Charles was smirking because Yasmin got out, we can probably make an inference that he kind of tricked her into running toward the fire exit, because he was also bolting to the fire exit as well. So he tried to get her out, and Kyle is realizing that. That was when it hit Kyle. Chillington had faked Yasmin out. He knew she couldn't win by going out a fire exit, but he ran down the hall to fool her into thinking she was doing the right thing. Oh yeah, Chillington was definitely in it to win it. So he is sneaky. That is another one of his character traits that we could add to the board. He is definitely someone who is weaseling his way through to try and win this game. Not doing it in a truthful way. No matter who he had to trample. Whistling casually, Charles strolled back to the lobby. "What's Chillington doing out in the entrance hall?" said Akimi. "They told us that way out isn't the way in." Before Kyle could answer, Andrew Pickleman started shouting at Miguel, who had wandered over to Pickleman's table. "Get away! You're trying to steal my idea." "No, man," said Miguel. "I just happened to see your screen, and I don't think that particular periodical." "You know what, Miguel? I don't really care what you think. This isn't school. This is the public library, and you're not the boss in here, so just leave me alone." Miguel tossed up his hands. "No problem, bro. I was just trying to help you." "Ha, you mean help me lose." Andrew stormed up the closest spiral staircase to the second floor and the Dewey Decimal Rooms. Miguel looked sort of sad, and he headed up a separate spiral staircase. And Bridget trailed after them. Ooh, so we learn a little bit between Miguel and Andrew. They're not getting along. Miguel was just trying to help Andrew, and Andrew's like, "Get away from me. I just want to be left alone," because it sounds like Andrew's got some ideas, doesn't trust Miguel. So that's an interesting dynamic that's happening too. And Bridget seems to kind of just be following them. "Want to follow these guys like Bridget did?" whispered Akimi. "I'll take Pickleman. You take Miguel?" "No thanks," said Kyle, looking up at the domed ceiling. "I'm much more interested in the windows up there." 3 stories above the rotunda floor, just below the Wonder Dome, there was a series of 10 arched windows set between the statue nooks. The windows acted like skylights at the base of the dome, allowing sunshine to flood into the room below. Do you think those windows open? Said Akimi. Maybe, maybe not. But I've never let a closed or locked window stand between me and winning a game. Just ask my dad. Ooh, that's a reference to one of the very first chapters of this book. Because, remember, Kyle in that first chapter was playing a game with his brothers and he broke the window and his dad walked in. What? Never mind. Come on. Kyle trotted over to the cushy chair where Sierra Russell was peacefully reading her book. Excuse me, I hate to interrupt. Sierra raised her head. She had a very dream look in her eyes. I need a book. Really? Said Sierra. What kind? Like the one you found. Up there. He gestured to the curving bookcases climbing up the back half of the rotunda. Fiction? Said Sierra. Right, said Kyle. Love me some fiction. Well, what sort of story do you like? Something way up high, said Kyle. The higher, the better. Really? Yup. Well, that's an interesting way to put together a reading list, basing it on bookcase elevation. I'd like something on the top shelf, maybe right under the hologram statue of that guy hanging out with the cat in the hat. That's Dr. Seuss, said Sierra. He wrote The Cat in the Hat. Sweet, said Kyle. But I just like how close he is to that window. That's the end of chapter 18. What can we gather? What can we make an inference about? Because remember, an inference is making a guess. Sometimes authors don't come right out and tell you exactly what's going on. They want you to figure it out based on the context clues or the clues within the story. So we know that Sierra has been up towards those windows. So Akimi and Kyle ask Sierra, can you get us up there? We want the book next to the cat in the hat. Because I think Kyle wants to get out that window to escape the library, which is a great idea. He can use those ladders and that levitation system to try and get out the window. So we'll have to see what happens in chapter 19. He had an idea and he's going to go with it. So how would you approach it? Would you try and get out the window? Would you try and go a different way, like what Andrew and Miguel are doing? We'll have to see. We're going to read chapter 19 as well to see if Kyle's idea works. So this is chapter 19. I love reading to you, and it's getting so good. Each chapter is getting more suspenseful. So let's see what happens in chapter 19. Oh, Mrs. Tobin, Akimi called out. I need to use my librarian consultation. You sure about this? Said Kyle. That's the beauty of being a team. After we burn through mine, we'll still have yours. The hologram librarian appeared and advised Akimi that Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain was the book located right underneath the holographic image of Dr. Seuss and the Cat in the Hat. After Mrs. Tobin vanished, Kyle and Akimi used their desktop computer to find the call number for Huckleberry Finn. That's a great book, Huckleberry Finn. Kyle grabbed a pen and scribbled it down on his palm. Are you going to do what I think you're going to do? Said Akimi. Yup. I'm going to float up there, hoist myself into that nook where the hologram is, reach over to the window, push it open, and stick out my hand. Technically, I will have found my way out of the library. Nothing in the rules said anything about how far outside we had to go to win. But you could fall. I don't think so. I'm wiry, like a monkey. Ooh, that's figurative language. It's definitely a simile because it uses like to compare himself to a monkey. Seriously, Kyle, it isn't worth it. Yes it is. Did I mention I want to win? You should improvise a safety harness, suggested Sierra Russell. Huh? Well, in this adventure book I read once, the hero was in a very similar predicament. So, he removed the curled handset wires from several telephones, bundled them together, and made a safety rope. Ooh, Sierra's got a great suggestion here. She said, you know what? I'm worried about you. I don't want you to fall. So why don't you use like a safety harness? So she actually made within this story a text-to-text connection because she remembered an adventure book that she read where somebody used a safety harness, and now she's giving that suggestion to Kyle. Awesome text connection. 10 minutes later, Kyle, Akimi, and Sierra had stripped the spiry wires off a couple of telephone handsets. Kyle looped the cables around his waist and tied the other end to the handrail of the hover ladder. When fully extended, the safety rope would stretch out to a little more than 20 feet. It should work. Be careful up there, said Akimi. Yes, said Sierra, who wasn't reading her book anymore. Apparently, watching a real live person risk his real live life by doing something really, really scary was one thing more exciting than reading. Kyle locked his feet into the hover ladder's ski boot brackets. Here we go! Serious adrenaline raced through his body as he tapped the call number for Huckleberry Finn into the hover ladder's book locator keypad. When you open the window, said Akimi, just shout, I found the way out, and we win! Right, said Kyle. All three of us. Huh? Hey, Sierra came up with the safety rope idea. She's on our team, too. Fine, whatever. Just don't break your neck. Not part of the plan. Kyle pressed the enter button on the control panel. The platform floated up off the ground and drifted slightly to the right. Be careful, said Akimi. Watch it! I'm not doing anything, said Kyle. This thingamajiggy is doing all the work. I'm just along for the ride. Kyle gripped the handles as the platform rose higher and higher. He sailed past books by Tolstoy and Thackeray. Tilting back his head, he looked up at the semi-transparent statues projected into the curved niches next to the arched windows. They were a weird mix. A thoughtful African-American man in a three-piece suit and a bow tie. A guy with long curly hair, old-fashioned clothes, and a looking glass. A long-haired dude in a scruffy shirt hiding behind cutouts of the letters P and B. And a bald guy with a beard. Since the statues were really holographic projections, they had chisel-type labels floating in front of their pedestals, identifying who the famous people were. The ones closest to Kyle were George Orwell, Lewis Carroll, Dr. Seuss, and Maya Angelou. Those are all very famous writers and poets. Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland, and you all know Dr. Seuss. Maya Angelou and George Orwell were authors, and Maya Angelou was also a poet. As he continued to climb, Kyle could hear the soft whirl of the electromagnetics invisibly lifting him toward the ceiling. And then he heard something much louder. What a ridiculous idea! Charles Chillington. He was standing on the second floor balcony at the far side of the rotunda. You know, Keeley, I thought about doing the same thing, but then I noticed something you obviously overlooked. There's a wire mesh security screen on the other side of those windows. The levitating platform stuttered to a stop. Enjoy staring at the ceiling, Keeley. I'm off to win yet another game. Kyle ignored Chillington and grabbed hold of the ledge beneath Dr. Seuss. He tried to haul himself up, but his feet wouldn't budge. They were locked in place by those ski boots. And this was close to the skylights. And then Kyle could see that Chillington was right. There was a security screen on the other side of the windows. So that's a bummer. So Kyle's all the way to the top using that levitation system, and his feet are stuck in the C-clamps, and he can see that if he sticks his hand out, it won't go out because there's a security screen. So he had a good idea, but it's not going to work. Kyle checked his wristwatch. It was 1 p.m. He and his teammates had wasted an hour on the lame window idea. He sighed heavily. and stared up at the quivering Seuss projection in the bowed niche above his head. The cat in the hat's mouth started to move. Think left and think right and think low and think high. Kyle recognized the voice. It was Mr. Lemoncello. Oh, the thinks you can think, if only you try. In other words, Kyle was back to square one. He needed to think up a whole new idea and an escape plan. The ladder began a slow and steady descent to the floor, even though Kyle hadn't pushed a button. Don't listen to Smarty Pants Charles, Akimi coached, as Kyle coasted toward the floor. It was definitely worth a shot. I agree, said Sierra. A blood-curdling scream came ringing up the staircase from the basement. That's Haley, said Akimi. I saw her go downstairs. That's where the stacks are, added Sierra. Come on, said Kyle. She could be in serious trouble. You should never help your competition, Keeley, scoffed Charles, as he casually strolled down a spiral staircase. Unless, of course, you always play to lose. And that is the end of chapter 19. Getting so good. So suspenseful. So what did we learn from chapter 19? We learned that Kyle had an idea. He consulted his two teammates, because now Sierra is on the team. It's Kyle, Akimi, and Sierra. He said, I want to try and get up to the top of the ceiling with that levitation system and try and get out the window. But then he learned, after he had tried his idea, that there were security screens on the windows and he couldn't get out. So Sierra and Akimi were supportive teammates, and they said, you know what? It was worth a try. But Kyle was a little bit defeated. He realized he wasted an hour on this idea. But at least he had an idea and he tried. And Charles, again, trying to make him feel bad, like, oh, I already thought of that, and there's security screens. So Charles is sneaky, and he's trying to kind of undermine his other classmates and his teammates. And then at the end of the chapter, we hear this loud scream from Haley Daly, who's in the basement of the library. And then Akimi and Kyle and Sierra decide to go help Haley, but Charles was like, oh, you shouldn't help your teammates or your opponents, really. But Kyle isn't looking at it that way. So it'll be interesting. Next time we'll probably compare and contrast Charles and Kyle and how they're alike and different. We'll also talk a little bit more about point of view and inferencing and using context clues, main ideas, all reading skills that you're going to need and that are going to help you and that you should practice. So it has been so much fun reading Escape from Mr. Lemoncello to you. Check out the new episodes. There'll be more to come. If you have any questions or anything you want me to talk about, please email me or connect with me on Instagram. Look at all the stuff that I've been posting on Instagram about things that are happening in my life, my kids' life, and reading skills and things that you can practice and things that are going on in Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's library. Keep reading. Stay safe. Stay strong. Do all your work on class flow. Write to us if you need us. Know that we're here for you. We miss you. Take care, and I'll see you soon. I'll see you in the next episodes.